This is the face of a man on his villain arc after getting the premium Isekai package. His plan was flawless, a revenge clapping aimed at the inner circle of his now ex-wife, her sister, her mother, and her friends. This grand quest began just a few days ago when he discovered that his wife of 2 years betrayed him for a Roblox Grow a Garden player. The moment he discovered the evidence, he chose to leave her instantly like a real king, because true love would never do such a thing. Jisoo, his wife, begged him to stay, which only cranked his fury to over level 9,000 since he couldn't believe she thought he'd just let this slide like some Ligma mail. Without wasting a moment, Bro summoned divorce papers out of thin air like he's got some JoJo type of anime powers to pull items out of nowhere. He then orders her to sign the papers before slamming the door shut behind him, sarcastically shouting at her to have great time with the lowlife, causing Jisoo to collapse to her knees. Logically, Kang decided the only cure for this emotional critical hit staining his life was an unholy amount of drinks to numb his feelings away and, of course, Korean barbecue. But as he's busy thinking about having wasted 4 years of his life on a worthless piece of trash, he hears a familiar voice beckon to him, calling him son. Turns out, word travels faster than the yellow flash, so Kang's mother-in-law went looking for him to make sure he's okay. But this Asian mom is proof that Asian don't raisin. Initially, Bro braced for a guilt trip session, but in reality, his mother-in-law came for him, absolutely distraught that her own daughter was the source of his immense pain. She continues on yapping, profusely apologizing and blaming herself for not being a better mother to Jisoo, even though she really did go above and beyond for that trash. Regardless, the mom tells Kang that he was a perfect fit for their family, causing him to get emotionally cooked, knowing full well he poured his entire soul into the relationship. However, as she continued spilling her true feelings, a new side quest unlocked in Kang's brain as Bro started giving her odd looks, while simultaneously dropping even weirder comments. By the end of the night, Kang was totally sauce after breaching his limit, and his only coherent thought being that he would probably miss his mother-in-law more than his actual wife. Anyways, as she helped him into the taxi, she leaned in, looking like she's about to drop lore that could change the entire series. Unfortunately for Kang, as soon as she was about to do the grand reveal, she says, "Never mind," leaving our boy forever stuck wondering about what she was going to say. He then closes his eyes and 10 minutes instantly flash by, and unbeknownst to him, disaster is about to strike since he's busy totally knocked out. Suddenly, he is jolted awake when he hears the old taxi driver scream like someone just stole his $100 billion fruit, and the next thing he knows is he meets Truck Kun face to face with lights on. One blink later, he gets ganked with a pain he wasn't expecting after his fateful date with Truck Kun, as he feels Jisoo deactivate his forbidden domain. With his pain threshold momentarily on pause due to him being utterly confused as to what's going on, Bro freaks out as this was not the pearly gates he was hoping for. Nonetheless, Jisoo ends up mentioning how he activated clap mode all night with her, so she's going to let this pass for now as he completed his mission successfully. Still unsure of what's happening right now, Kang takes a look around to find out he's in her old room from back when they were still dating years ago. Nevertheless, with Kang taking forever to figure out that he just got reincarnated back in the past, Jisoo happily waves goodbye whilst telling Kang that she's so excited for their wedding date. Now with Jisoo gone from the house, Kang frantically searches the room and finds a journal he made but sees that today's date is from 2 years ago. Then he gets ganked by a call from the manager at work, furious at him for being late today, but as he enters his workplace, everyone's eyes quickly darted straight towards him. With Kang never being late to work, he immediately reports to the department head, but luckily the homie lets it slide knowing that his wedding is coming up soon. However, the moment Kang called him department head, the entire room froze in place as he'd completely forgotten the man hadn't been promoted yet in this timeline. At lunchtime, a wild Jisoo appeared, materializing beside Kang like a jump scare as Bro forgot his wife worked with him in a different department back in the day. So she tries to yoink our boy straight out from his chair since this was their ritual. A lunch date every time, but today Kang was an immovable object, unable to stomach Jisoo's presence. Eventually, Kang snaps and yells at her, claiming there's no need for that, shoving her away, catching her totally off guard with his new demeanor. Bro then stormed off away from her, outright choosing to ignore her like an absolute Chad, but a mysterious girl from around the corner takes note. While every other NPC from vicinity is left gasping due to the unexpected Total Drama Island episode from the least suspecting couple, the Violet Enigma is seen smiling from a distance. We learn that her name is Haemul, another manager from the company, but her presence frankly seems sus, since she instantly swooped and told Jisoo she's never ever seen Kang angry before. Shortly after confronting Jisoo, Haemul began dropping subtle hints that she knows something's up between the two and declares that she knows for sure the issue will be resolved, while smirking as if she's got outsider knowledge. Meanwhile, Kang had escaped to the company rooftop, trying his best to vent some steam as he can't handle being around Jisoo, even though she's looking like she's in her physical prime right now. Regardless, while busy thinking of how to alter the timeline like Doctor Strange, Hanyul ganks him from behind and introduces herself as the assistant manager of Jisoo. Initially hopeful that Hanyul would be a great distraction for the moment, Bro unfortunately finds himself more tense when Hanyul only talked about how she wishes both of them would reconcile before their wedding ceremony. However, when a tight-lipped Kang mentions that everything is totally fine, Hanyul begins to laugh as her seemingly innocent aura shattered around her. After telling Kang to stop capping, Hanyul hands over her phone and shows Kang pictures of Jisoo heading to a motel meant for cultured anime training with another dude. With our boy speechless after finding out Jisoo has been unfaithful since the beginning, Hanyul took the opportunity to entice him to his side quest with her later this evening. In the evening, instead of going home with his current girl, he angrily chooses to meet Hanyul at the destined spot, making Jisoo act all clingy as she wonders where the heck her boyfriend is after work. Without hesitating, he barges straight into the top floor office, only to discover Hanyul perched on her desk with a sussy aura patiently waiting for him. But as he angrily demanded more information about what she knows, Hanyul activated her sussy Fire Nation mode by unleashing her Rise Jutsu level 9000 like it's the start of some cultured animes. If this happened 2 years ago, this might have worked, but this version of Kang was locked in, his mind singularly focused on uncovering the truth. Regardless, unfazed by his resistance, Hanyul escalated, deploying the Forbidden Foot technique to break the physical barrier while revealing she has more proof. So after seeing Kang's eyes widen, Hanyul pulled him closer still, letting Bro know that top-tier intel comes with a cost, making it look like our boy is not getting the sussy hint. Nonetheless, his absolute Chad is not having any of it, so Hanyul is forced to be straight to the point, offering him to reveal all information she has on Jisoo if he agreed to a 1 versus 1 duel right now. However, Kang quickly declines her win-win offer as Bro absolutely despises being pushed and shoved around like someone easy to be manipulated, causing his anger meter to blow off the top. Flipping the script, Kang called her out, asking Hanyul what she's really after, claiming he's barely even met her, catching Hanyul totally off guard. With our boy proving to be a tough nut to crack, Hanyul pivots and switches like the free throw merchant SGA to take advantage of Kang's emotional state, instead asking if he's ever thought about getting revenge on Jisoo. She then reveals that they both share something in common, since Jisoo stole something from them that they could never get back, so she's glad he knows of Jisoo's true nature now. With the plot twist hitting hard, Hanyul stared into Kang's soul. "Look, King," she declared, going all in with main character energy, asking him to give her offer a shot since they are both going after the same goal. Unfortunately for Hanyul, this Kang was a totally different beast, a freshly buffed character, not the same chill one she'd been scouting, so before she could even react, he grabbed her hands. One moment she was making a CEO-level pitch, the next, she found herself looking straight up at the ceiling, locked into a 1 versus 1 arena against Kang. Meanwhile, Bro was hyping himself up, telling himself it's time to show this low-level who the real raid boss is, activating some kind of OP stun lock skill that pinned her hands to the desk, effectively preventing any movement. He nodded and bopped along. Then he whipped out his phone, the mythical iPhone 17 Pro Max, rocking the new Ultra OP feature, a secret ability that insta-deployed and retreated from an opponent's secret domain as long as Kang maintained contact. This skill, it was super effective. Hanyul's brain cells went AFK within seconds of activation, caught in what felt like eternal bliss. Her internal monologue was just the Windows 10 shutdown sound on repeat. 5 minutes later, she snapped back to reality when Kang needed the phone, and in its place, he unveiled his true secret weapon, a special beef burrito with cheese. Hanyul had truly awakened his inner menace, a full-on final boss mode where he prepped for blast-off like he was the new CEO of Twitter. Seconds later, Kang's majestic, highly pristine rocket primed for peak performance blasted off towards its designated mission area, sending its lone scientist on a truly critical mission. The review? 5 stars, stating the pilot was beyond experienced, perhaps even a certified sensei of the highest order. After barely a minute of the unexpected training arc, Hanyul tried to forfeit their duel. Kang just laughed, a deep chuckle that echoed with raw power. "Nah, fam," he boomed, "I'm barely using a third of my resting power. This fight ain't over till my Gear 5 activates." So the duel continued. Kang's skills ascended fast, their power levels spiking over level 9000. Soon, their auras clashed, culminating in a literal Dragon Ball Z fusion dance that left Hanyul's synapses short-circuiting, unable to process the sheer intense power. Eventually, Kang, realizing he had absolutely styled on his low-level opponent, paused for a brief moment. He needed to make sure Hamuel didn't accidentally pass out from the sheer intensity of their training mission. Unfortunately, for the assistant manager, this was merely phase 1, so just as she thought it was GG, Kang initiated part 2. Halfway through phase 2, Hamuel was just holding on for her dear life since constant reality-bending abilities she never knew existed were raining down, each one always landing a critical hit. This phase only ended when Kang's domain expansion skill caused Hamuel's agility to plummet to 0, causing her energy to spill onto the office floor. Having thoroughly owned Hamuel, completing his end of the bargain, Kang snatched her phone. He promptly airdropped all the receipts to himself. Then, with a chillingly calm "watch your mouth," he warned her he handled Jisoo solo with no help. Regardless, Hamuel was left utterly defeated, probably half awake, sprawled on a desk that easily cost more than most people's annual salary. A true power move flex. An hour later, Hamuel finally mustered the energy to peel herself off the pricey furniture. She was still processing how Kang had pulled off such a drastic change in literally one day, but little did Kang know, he'd walk straight into a side quest he wasn't prepared for. In a dimly lit corner of the office, another phone was hidden, silently recording the entire chaotic duel in glorious 4K resolution. Meanwhile, at a random park far from the corporate HQ, Kang stared lifelessly at the newly acquired photos. He knew those assets better than anyone. The cold, hard data confirming Jisoo's betrayal, even before their marriage, sent him spiraling even further. How could someone fake that level of commitment for years? It was pure delulu, so he crushed his drink can into a metallic relic. "I'll get total revenge," he vowed quietly, no stone unturned. "This is my villain origin story." But just as he was wrestling his inner demons, a familiar face popped out of the bushes. Jisoo's younger sister. "Appa, why are you drinking alone?" she asked, her voice laced with concern. "Everyone's worried you haven't gone home." But as she spoke, gears began turning in Kang's head. A new strategy was formulating. His revenge arc can finally begin. Kang's memory hit the replay button, remembering his first introduction to Jisoo's family, where he finally met the younger sister, Jaeyeon, a person so impossibly timid she should have been named Hinata. Back then, Kang had spent countless hours tutoring Jaeyeon, grinding alongside her to ensure she secured a spot at her dream college like a perfect big bro. But as the days blended, Jaeyeon started acting sus. Like major red flag emoji type of sus, since she couldn't hold eye contact for more than a second and blushed every time when he was within a 5-meter radius, but Kang remained utterly clueless, like an idiot MC. A year later, Jaeyeon's world collapsed harder than a poorly built Jenga tower. The news hit her like truck gun, delivering emotional damage like Uncle Roger after finding out Jisoo and Kang were getting married, wedding date already set. All she could do now was offer strained congratulations, tears streaming down her face, not tears of joy, but sadness, since she'd been simping in secret after all. Back in the present, Kang finally snapped out of his brain rot-fueled nostalgia and registered how Jaeyeon looked totally different now, as if she'd unlocked a new OP skin every dude would buy on Marvel Rivals. Unfortunately, Kang got caught in 4K checking out a younger and better version of his ex, his gaze lingering on Jaeyeon's massively upgraded special features. But after getting called out for his very Sigma-like stare like those Indian uncles, he remained silent, still stuck within his own head. But then a light bulb moment. As he replayed Jisoo's future betrayal, a smirk, sharp as a katana, crept onto Kang's face. He could totally alter the timeline since he's basically armed with cheat codes, thanks to his knowledge of the future. As such, Bro resolved to take action, starting today. Jaeyeon and her mom, they were no longer his true in-laws, just important side quests in his new game. Finally, after an eternity of silence, Kang flashed a reassuring smile, radiating an almost unsettling calm. "My bad, went missing for a bit," he apologized, his voice low. Something clicked. His demeanor instantly changed, a true Chad grin set activating. He looked down, then back at Jaeyeon, whispering, "Honestly, after seeing you, I feel way better." Totally relieved, he paused, letting the words marinate. Then, catching her completely off guard, he asked if she wanted to go get food and drinks right now, but this was unprecedented. Their one-on-one interactions had always been strictly academic. At a nearby restaurant, after Jaeyeon, flustered but intrigued, agreed to some food and drinks, some tiny enhanced water, she began to yap like an unfiltered Kai Twitch stream. For a solid half hour, she detailed her life, her dreams, and literally anything on her mind, while Kang looked like he was soaking up every word, but internally, he was just happy knowing he's about to cook. Anyways, Jaeyeon, initially limiting herself to one enhanced water, soon accepted glass after glass, chugging like an absolute demon lord. Then Kang decided to drop the nuclear bomb. "Jisoo, she's betraying me. Jia instantly freaked out, her animated reaction a stark contrast to her earlier shyness. "No way!" Stis is cancelled. She cried, disbelief warring with sudden, intense concern since she still has hidden feelings for him. Nonetheless, Kang silently passed over his phone, the screen displaying irrefutable photo evidence of Jisoo's backstabbing shenanigans. Seeing the receipts, Jia stumbled over her words, verbally vomiting about how they had to talk it out, that it simply must be a misunderstanding. Bro tried to calm her, but halfway through, he decided to escalate his plan to forbidden levels of jutsu. He suddenly grasped her hands, his touch a critical hit on her already frazzled nerves. Leaning in, his voice a desperate whisper, he pleaded, "I desperately need your help." And with those words, he had her. Hook, line, and sinker. Without hesitation, Jia accepted. She swore to keep everything a secret from her older sister, a promise fueled by the primal fear of losing Kang if he decided to bail on their relationship. Back home, Jia was torn between choosing her sis or someone she's a simp for. Luckily, she was a real one. She decided to help our boy Kang. But then it hit her. She had no clue how to actually help since he hadn't given her any instructions, so she decides to sleep, Delulu thoughts invading her mind, convincing herself she might actually have a chance with him if things truly went sideways between him and Jisoo. Fast forward to the morning. Kang got woken up from his dream of being a famous Roblox YouTuber thanks to the relentless yet gentle prodding from the mom of the house. With Kang still executing a full-on snooze on the couch, her voice sliced through the silence. "Wakey wakey, sleepyhead. I'm about to cook up a breakfast to bussin' and it'll make you want to hit the gritty." But it looks like breakfast wasn't the only thing bussin' right now. Anyways, Kang had been voluntarily relegated to the couch for days, treating his own bedroom like it was contaminated with a level 4 biohazard. But he wasn't in the doghouse. He was the doghouse, a self-imposed exile to maintain a 10-foot pole distance from his Jisoo. Regardless, breakfast was awkward. The silence was so thick, you could cut it with a kunai since Kang was giving Jisoo the silent treatment with such intensity, he was basically mewing at his plate. Worried they'd accidentally trigger a boss fight, everyone else ate as if they were defusing a bomb. Jisoo, however, was on her redemption arc. Utterly clueless that Kang knew her seeker, she attempted a peace offering. With the grace of a shoujo heroine, she slid a plate of his favorite meal across to our boy, a dish she'd slaved over the night before. His response? He executed a table slam jutsu that rattled the very foundations of the house and began teleporting himself out of the room, leaving his meal untouched. Before he vanished, the worried mom spoke up as she was worried bro was going to get sick from barely eating anything. Like just made an excuse that his belly was not feeling right. So with Kang safely out of earshot, a shocked Jisoo immediately started spilling the tea, trying to farm sympathy points from the family. He's been like this for days. She lamented, but her audience was not impressed. Both Jia and the mom sided with Kang, hitting her with a synchronized. "So what did you do?" Since they knew Kang would never randomly act out without something happening. Later, as Kang was being chilling on a park bench, contemplating his next move, his mom ganked him, appearing out of nowhere like a rogue Pokemon in tall grass, since she'd been waiting for a private chat. After listening to Kang spin a totally convincing, not at all fabricated tale about being insecure about his future skill tree and life's main quest, she took his hand. "Oh, sweetie," she said, her voice filled with a powerful support buff. "I'm so sorry. I should have noticed you were going through it." She urged him to confide in her, to think of her not as his stepmom, but as his OG Day 1 mom. As she spoke, a strange thing happened as Kang caught her scent, a cozy and comforting aroma, like a high-tier healing potion. It reminded him of Jisoo's, but this one was way better than that fraud. Nonetheless, his path was now clear. "Thanks, Mom. You've helped me decide. I'm going home to make up with Jisoo." The mom looked thrilled, like she just completed a difficult side quest. But as she beamed, Kang's entire demeanor shifted. His eyes disappeared into the shadow, and a dark, menacing aura began to leak from him, looking like he had ulterior motives. He started apologizing to her repeatedly. "I'm sorry, Mom. I'm so sorry." Confused, she asked why, but he offered no explanation, leaving the foreshadowing to hang in the air. Then night fell. True to his word, Kang initiated the reconciliation protocol behind a slightly ajar bedroom door. He began to make up with Jisoo, unleashing the full force of a special, powerful gift he'd been charging up all week. As he showed off his domain expansion skills, he wasn't just trying to destroy his opponent, he was putting on a performance. He fought to keep his power level from dropping, his face a mask of strained effort, not pleasure. Throughout the battle, Kang kept glancing over his shoulder, ensuring the door remained perfectly cracked, since this wasn't just a training arc, it was a perfectly planned one. Suddenly, he heard faint footsteps in the hall. It was time, so locking in, he unleashed power levels previously thought impossible, breaking past his limits like a Super Saiyan. He knew she used the shared bathroom around this time, revealing that he had deviously planned this entire conflict for her to stumble upon them. And now, with his audience in place, he activated skills he'd never used before. The surprise, max-level, legendary-grade techniques were an overwhelming success, delivering a special, electrifying feeling to both Jisoo and the stunned spectator in the hall. The sheer spectacle of his power was so effective that Mom was left speechless, stun-locked and unable to move, as if her brain had just blue-screened from witnessing skills that defied all logic. As the quick-time event continued, a blur of motion as both Jisoo and her mom struggled to catch their breath. Kang, having finally unlocked a wild, previously unknown side to him, had truly unleashed his inner Demon Lord powers. Eventually, our boy attempted his finishing move to cap off the day's rigorous training arc. Mid-water explosion during a powerful technique he called the Jutsu Stream, he couldn't help but smirk as the bedroom door clicked closed behind him. With the intense level-up session now complete, the Jisoo collapsed, utterly spent while the other was nowhere to be found. But when Kang tried to resume his usual routine of ignoring Jisoo, she asked why he changed up his training regimen. She wasn't exactly declining the new style, more like she was just surprised Bro had that within him. Unaware of the absolute cringe and pure disgust flickering in his eyes, Kang, an absolute chat of manipulation, effortlessly began dropping lines that make any girl swoon. He didn't even have to break a sweat to perfectly fake caring about his girlfriend again. Jisoo, seemingly convinced their relationship was finally mended, drifted off to sleep, probably dreaming of happily ever afters and low-ping FPS servers. Fast forward to the morning, the mom had an alarmingly good night's sleep. She too had somehow expended all her energy, though curiously, no one else was in her room that night. Regardless, she shot out of bed, unable to process that she'd actually slept in so late the girls had to call her. It had been like literal years since she'd slept for more than 5 minutes past dawn. Her first detour? Right outside Kang and Jisoo's bedroom, where she paused and got lost in a vivid replay of every special move Kang had deployed last night. Stuck buffering the previous evening's highlight reels, she snapped back to reality, promptly face-palming so hard it echoed. A wave of disbelief washed over her. Why? She muttered to herself, did I just watch the entire duel in the shadows like a total creep? Distraught that she basically committed a cardinal sin without even realizing Kang had orchestrated the whole thing, she stumbled to the couch. Desperate to erase the sussy Fire Nation from invading her brain, she tried to gaslight herself into believing it was all an accident, overriding the sus memories with thoughts of only caring about their relationship ending. Unfortunately for the mom, every mental block she tried to deploy failed. She closed her eyes, mind drifting, wondering when she last stepped onto a battlefield herself. Suddenly, still sprawled on the living room couch, she found herself cosplaying as her own daughter, trying to mentally model how Jisoo had managed to defend against such a behemoth of an attack throughout the night. Just as she was running simulations, the living room door swung open. Kang burst in, looking absolutely flabbergasted that his mom had stolen his designated sleeping spot, complete with a pillow underneath, giving off the biggest sussy baka vibe on the planet. The tables, caught in 4K, instantly turned. An awkward silence hung in the air, but honestly, give our boy an Oscar for that performance. So Kang, a true Sigma, had planned to come home early to see some alone time with her, but he was secretly amazed at how perfectly his scheme was unfolding, far exceeding his wildest expectations. Then Kang broke the silence, his voice smoothly asking how she was feeling. The mom, flustered beyond belief, struggled to craft a coherent sentence, but eventually, she managed to control her chai, mustering an excuse about feeling a little bit off today. So just when she thought the coast was clear, believing Kang had bought the excuse, he surprised her by sitting right beside her. Suddenly, her carefully constructed alibi became her downfall as Kang gently turned her around, his voice low and earnest. I want to return the favor, he said, for always helping me through hard times. And just like that, Bro began to whip out new skills he apparently learned from an early morning deep dive into amazing massage techniques on the deep end of YouTube. The mom found herself in deep trouble. Kang's new stress reliever ability was unsettlingly effective, sending weird energy coursing through her body. Seeing how his opponent reacted to his beginner-level attacks, Kang decided it was time to level up his powers again, so he smoothly ordered the mom to a brand new loading screen. This time, Bro pulled her into the exact same defensive position he pushed Jisoo into last night, and for some wild reason, she actually agreed, telling herself, don't be a hater. Lil Bro just wants to help out. Seconds later, Kang the certified GOAT decided to push the limits of this dynamic event, channeling power levels that skirted the red line like an OP-controlled Shadow Monarch. But Mom was totally vibing with the pre-duel routine since Bro was clearly serving a masterclass in subtle riz. Then, our boy struck. perfectly placing the pepperoni pizza alongside her bedside table without having to remove a slice, causing her to call out his name. Unfortunately for the two, just as they were about to enter the battlefield of no return, a jump scare. The doorbell, making them scatter in the room faster than a solo squad wipe. Turns out it was the girls finally back from their shopping spree, yelling through the door cracks like they just cleared an epic raid, demanding Kang's help with their loot. As a gentleman, he helped them, but he was reluctant because he was low-key about to crash out after being so close to the finish line. But Jisoo, ever the detective, asked where Mom was, so Kang, putting on his best "who" face, led them to her room. There they found Mom totally bundled up, looking like she caught something, cough cough, but let's just say it wasn't a fever. This time, it was Mom who gave her the best Oscar-worthy performance of being sick, so the girls eagerly decided to cook dinner for her to help out. At the same time, Kang was asked if anything happened while they were gone, but he just hit him with a chill nah. The next day at work, Jisoo approached Kang, clearly about to drop the lunch date quest, but before she could even hit accept, Kang asked her out first. Bet. The two happily headed out, ready to hit up that new spot up that Jisoo had been dying over, but Hamul appeared out of nowhere, as if she was one of my phantom farts. In an instant, Kang's fake smile evaporated faster than his GPA after finals. Manager Hamul was clearly an annoying boss, capable of nuking all of his carefully laid plans within seconds. So hoping not to aggro her, he decided to step back and not say anything as Jisoo kept complimenting how pretty Hamul looked. But then, Kang's worst nightmare manifested when Hamul demanded to see him one-on-one. Immediately. Without wasting a beat, she pushed past Jisoo, blinking beside him like an OP mage using a blink skill, wrapping her arm and her signature plush pillow around him. With Kang in hand and not breaking eye contact with Jisoo the entire time, she proceeded to lead him away, and a chilling smile plastered on her face. "Don't worry, sweetie," she chirped. "It's just a work-related issue."